Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a pocket for the inside of this little journal that we're working on, or that I'm working on. You might be working on it too. I know I said that I would show you gluing these end papers in, but that's about as boring as watching paint dry, or glue dry as the case may be. So once I get to this stage, my next thing to do is always to put something on the inner front cover and perhaps the inner back cover as well. I usually leave the back cover until I get there, but I like to put some kind of pocket on the inside front cover. And being me, I can't just put a pocket. I mean, you could just take, there's lots of pockets in this kit. So you could just put a pocket, or a pocket. I even had one cut out. I did. I had one cut out yesterday. It appears to have done its own thing and gone somewhere. Anyway, you could put a pocket there. That's what I was trying to say. But I'm not, I want something different. So I was thinking in my head and I was playing around. I have these really big envelopes that I got at Dollarama. They are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11.5 inches long and 6 inches high. So a really big size. They're bigger than legal size. They are quite huge. Flap goes on that side. Goes on that side. It's not like a top down, it's a side loading pocket. So what I did, and this is my prototype, and then I was thinking that's not how a tab, I wanted it to look like a file folder. And originally I folded it so that the file folder part was on the front of the envelope. And then I was like looking at more of them and I was like, no, the file folder goes on the back side of the envelope. Yeah. So the first thing that I did is glue this flap shut on the flap side because, well, it'll interfere with everything. So I created it, I did it in such a way that this would be top loading and then this one would be side loading. So no matter which way you do it, this flap, you don't need it. So I just put glue along the edge of that envelope flap. You probably can't see that. And then on this side of the envelope, on the inside here. And you may need to shut these little flaps here where they come open. You may need to put a little bit of extra glue there as well. And you can go a little bit further. Be careful that you don't put glue too far out on the one flap because you'll just have to wipe it off. Basically now you have an envelope that's fully glued shut and you can't get into. So we have to do a bit more to it. I splurged. I found out these little tonic guillotines were on sale. I splurged. Kind of excited. This will be my first time using it, so you get to watch with me. So I'm just going to take a very tiny sliver off one of the short sides of the envelope. So like just a small little sliver. And then from here, I also need to cut it down to size so that it will fit within the parameters. I'm going to put my pin in my glue. So it needs to be narrower. You'll notice that my prototype is not as wide. If I leave it as wide as this, it can't be any deeper than the fold of the where your spine is. So you'll notice if I left it, I've now got about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a tiny bit more than 1/4 of an inch that sticks out. And that's not aesthetically pleasing. So I will use this as my guide. And take off that 1/4 of an inch. And I think I can actually, before I do that, fold it in half. Or no, I need to fold it a little bit less than in half, because I need the tab on the back. Right. I need the tab on the back to come up above the top. So maybe what I will do, just a sec. What I will do is I will determine, I'm going to use my notch punch to create the tab, like so. But I'm going to do it so that the tab is on this side of the envelope. Line it up about like so-ish. And I would say for this, if you wanted to do something similar, just eyeball about how wide you want that tab to be and just do it. And then line up so that I've got a little bit of the white line of my grid line showing in this little notch, and the envelope, one edge of the envelope 100% square with the one of the other grids. And then come along here. And the reason that I did that is now I know if I line up with my grid line like so and cut off this little extra bit here, that it'll be 100% straight. And then determine if you actually want to save these or put them in your recycling bin. And then I'm going to round the outer edge. Yes. With the other side of this notch punch. So the notch punch has a notch and a corner rounder on it, which is very handy. It's actually meant for making envelopes. Comes with the Bira Bira with their little baby scoreboard. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it so it's this edge is flush with the top of that notch. And use my bone folder and give it a good burnish so that it's flat. That should be more or less even on the inside. Like so. Now I have one pocket here, but no pocket here. So I'm just going to cut up that extra. And then I will have oh, that wasn't very effective, but it has grid lines. Cool beans. Let's use the grid lines. Looks straight. That's good. Looks straight. Double check and make sure that's pretty much square. Yes. Because I'm, you know, yes, I roll that way. Now, what you can do, now you see you have, like, it's big and open and back to being sort of an envelope again. So I want this side open here and this side shut on here, and I want this to be a pocket. So when it's in my journal, in the cover, and this comes down, if you have something in the top, it could come all the way down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a bead of glue along this fold line on the upper side, the side with the tab. And then a bead line of glue, a bead of glue along here. And glue that shut. And I'm pushing my glue from that fold in towards this side so that if the glue does spread, it doesn't come into the bottom part, because I don't want to glue this any further shut than what it is. So now what I have is an envelope on this side and an envelope on this side. Conceivably, what you could do if you wanted to, and you know what? If a certain person had been smart, I would have put the cut on this side, not on that side, so that you can get into this envelope from this side. This one doesn't matter. This one does. So, easiest way to fix this will involve a tiny bit more glue and one little tiny bit of using my corner rounder again. But it saves doing another one. So I'm just going to trim off a small sliver. So now what I'm going to do is round the corner of that little notch here and then glue this side shut. With my line of bead of glue. There, now I have what I want. From here, what I need to do is not make extra folds in it, is figure out if I want to decorate that. And of course we want to decorate that. And realistically, having taken a sliver of that off, I like the fit of it better. So sometimes accidents are a good thing. Unless you forget to glue things that are supposed to be glued. Also put a bead of glue on that side because I don't want this open. I could be a little more generous with my glue. There we go. Does anybody else worry that when they're smoothing things out, they're going to give themselves the world's worst paper cut on some of this stuff? Or is it only me? So what I can do is put away my cutter because I don't need it. Is put something on the front. Yeah, I did cut this. I was going to put it on my prototype, and then I'm like, I should actually film this. Might be fun to see. That will work like that. And I need to take about that much off. Like so. This has some of the coolest bronze splatters on it because I was doing something else and forgot it was on my desk, or knew it was on my desk, but the splatters kind of did their own thing, as spatters will do, and now it's all over this paper, and I really rather like that. Oh, yeah, let's use the dreaded glue stick. Let's put this somewhere else so I don't use it by mistake. Glue all my fiddly bits to that, and then I'm like, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Make sure there's enough glue. And then I'm going to put more of the Bearly Arts around the edges of this so that it adheres really well. Nice straight line. You can see that's nice and straight. Never said I could do a straight line. Make sure I get that right side up. Pardon me if my head gets in the way. I'm trying to make sure that that line's up straight. It goes on halfway straight. Or quarter of the way straight. And then just going to trim off this little tiny excess. A little bit carefully so that I don't slice open the envelope, because that would be tragic. Oh, that paper is not on there straight. Maybe it is. It looks straight, but it sure doesn't feel very straight. It feels, oh, okay. It's just my brain. Oh, that's good. Put your pin in your glue stick where it does not belong. Very helpful. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it, well, maybe not from here. Need to figure out whether I'm going to decorate and how I'm going to decorate this part. Realistically, whatever goes on here, I want to face right side up on here, and then this be right side up. Then the question is, if I'm using a digital, it's not going to go all the way top to bottom. I could then collage, which is always, I could then collage, yes, because then I could use book page or something similar. Trim off edges. You can see that the envelope itself is quite simple. The decorating will take you a little bit of time. But basically all you're doing is gluing the flap shut, trimming it down to size on whichever side you want to be open for the front pocket, creating a little tab and making sure that both your sides are glued shut on this one, folding it up so that this page matches the edge of the tab. We can round corners because, you know, you could round corners. I'm going to wait to round the corner on the back one until I figure out what I'm doing for paper. And then do I want, if I round this one, I need to make sure that everything is glued pocket-wise. And that is definitely glued. Cool. All right. Onwards. And then to make sure that this is about the right width. Mark that to about there. I like to, when I'm trimming pages down this way, use this Fiskars cutter just because of the wire blade on it. I find it gives me the sharpest line. My big one, I like my big one, but I've been using this one more and I'm not sure why I have. Sometimes I use my big one, sometimes I use the little one. I like them both. Ew. I'm gonna have to round this corner after. So my thought is put this here all the way to the top and then just like tear a book page, which I don't have any on my desk. I have a whole bunch of book pages in a bin of pages. And then looking at this one, it's got this cool, like, look at that bird. We could save this for something else because, you know, and that too. Here. I tend to like raggy edges when I'm doing things like collage bits. But if you like straight edges, do straight edges. Definitely. I just like, I don't know. I think this kind of thing gives it interest. And then you could also ink this if you wanted a defined line. I don't like that look. It's not my thing. Like, I'm not, I figure if I'm collaging, I to a certain extent want things to blend together. I don't want them to have that large defined line between them for the most part. There are times that I do want it, but most of the time I don't. Especially if I'm using something like a book page, which has its own patina, its own kind of an age factor to it. And unless I'm using something like tea dye, Distress Oxide, or going super, super grungy with Scorched Timber, I don't want that line between my pieces. But if you like that look, by all means, add it. That's the thing about journaling, is it needs to be what you like. Where you're not creating what somebody else is creating, you're creating what you're creating, and you're working on making things into images that you're happy with, because that's ultimately what art is art is subjective, and it's what do you want? What do you like? Try to get this square, which is going to be a little harder because it's big. And I think I'm off camera on the bottom end. And then if I'm on camera on the bottom end, I'm off camera on the top end. So, yeah. Try to get that flush somewhat. And then from here, what I will do is I will fold this while it's still wet. And I know that's against popular opinion, but I find to get a better crease line if I fold while wet. Partly because I can burnish it. Like if I find that it's got too much on one side or not enough on one side, I can move it around while the glue is still wet. And if I wait, I can't, there's no wiggle room, and then it's where it is and it might be in the wrong place. And then put in extra glue to make that stay like so. Now that's not quite perfect, so I have an idea. Definitely not perfect. Oh, that's me not getting that even. at all. Excuse my head. Yep. And then I'm going to round that corner back. Here is where I would say you can definitely, and I will, you can round corners, not round corners, ink. You can ink like edges, and I definitely will. But I'm not going to ink here because I don't want that. Yeah. And then because this paper is a little bit thinner, I am going to put Bearly Arts on it rather than glue stick, because the glue stick I find will sometimes badly warp these thin pages. But if you like glue stick, use glue stick. And I need to make sure that I line up the top of that tab and the edge of the page in such a way that you can see me doing it. I 100% have extra glue in places, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'll trim that off. And then just now this side is the back side, so you don't have to cover it because it's going to be glued down. You could keep those if you wanted to. And there you have, or I have, maybe you have as well. Make sure I have enough glue on that. I feel like that does not knew it. Sneaky little thing. That's the kind of thing that I would later be going, oh, I like this so much, and go like this and wreck the whole thing because I like pulled it off. That, I think that looks pretty nice. Then that will come like so on the front cover. Pull down like so. You've got like this interesting sort of blends in. There's a tab here. You could conceivably, if you wanted to, cut the front part of that file folder tab off on the front part of this and only leave the back part, but then you've got to cover the inside of this envelope. And I don't know, I don't mind that, because in a sense it looks, when it's shut, like this is the file folder, and then you open it and it's like more than just a file folder. And then I also think what I am going to do is come like this. Yep, like so. And I'll cut a bunch of that bottom part off so that it's not got quite as much of the white of this page showing. Which maybe defeats the point of having this. Maybe I'll do it even a little bit further this way. So you still see some of that flower, like so. Trim this off. like so. That one I'm going to let dry because there's other interesting bits that I could use. And pocket. That is a file folder. Now that we have covered that, I can round that corner. One of the things I like about this Birabira punch is it's got so much juice to it. So even though I have 2 layers of envelope, 2 layers of digital, extra little bit of book page and digital and envelope, it cuts through it like a knife through butter. Like, I love this thing. Bonus splatters, which makes me happy. And teaser, little bit of a teaser. It's not done. But I've been playing, I watched a video by Louisa Heinzel on her floral cluster things where she uses die cuts to create these little interesting florals. I have done a video on creating these, but I'm going to do it later because I have more stuff I'm waiting to come from Temu to make this even better. So if you want to see how I did these, you can watch Louisa Heinzel's videos because that's where I got the idea, or stick around and I'll show you me muddling through trying to create what she did because yeah, she's much more skilled at this than I am. So let's just glue this down. So I want this to be a pocket and a pocket. So I want to make sure that I only put glue along 3 sides. And because I have a big tab, it's pretty easy to tell where not to put it. And like so. And I was going to ink this thing. It did not get inked. Which is maybe okay because this front part is a little bit soft to go with the... I was going to use scorched timber on it. And I think this page might just get a little bit overwhelmed by scorched timber. It would look really good with tea dye on there, but yeah. So it looks really cool, like folded out. You can see part of it. So folded out, it looks really cool. It looks like that's all one element. Put up, it looks like one element. You've got a pocket here, which you can put a big journaling card in. And then here, you've got stay. And don't go poking it apart before it glues and dries and stays down. So you've got a pocket at the back and a pocket at, like, where the tab is. And, yeah. So the cute little envelope. And until next time, have a wonderful crafty day. Bye.